Well, hello everybody. It's Brother Todd with your Victory Minute. I hope you boys and girls out there all having a good day. I got y'all kind of leaned up here in the back of the truck right now, make this little minute. It is HOTT hot out here, and so I ain't gonna be very long. I was gonna make this in my cab of my truck, but my air conditioner blower is stuck on high, and so you can't hear nothing, which of course is better than what it was, which was stuck on low to no. But anyway. So it can be stuck on high all it wants to be. I come out here today to make this little old minute. I was sitting in the office thinking, I need to go make a minute and I need to go take a look at something. And one of the little old hay fields we got out here. And I need to kind of put my eye on it, and I was ready for a break anyway. And that made me think of one of my favorite verses. Make sure I ain't standing fire ants. For pastoring is Proverbs 27:23. It says to be diligent to look to the ways of your flock, to keep after the ways of your herd. Of course, you know, so much of the Bible's written from that agricultural standpoint. But basically, if you'll be diligent in your business to keep up with things, diligent in your relationships, a business is built on relationships. So if your relationships are good, whether they're in business, whether they're in family, all of those kinds of things, and you're attentive to it, you pick up on problems before they get big. And one of the reasons I say that's a real important verse for me in pastoring is I used to tell people that when I left the fire department, all I did was move from fire suppression to fire prevention, with like the fire marshals and all do. Because in church and with people, if you can be attentive, you can stay ahead of a lot of problems. The older I've gotten, of course, we started Victory now 20 years ago. A lot of the things we've done for 20 years are things I learned in my first 10 years, or 12, 15 years of pastoring. And so many things you can do to downplay differences, downplay potential problems, to stay ahead of things so that things don't grow. People are down on what they're not up on, as a general rule. When people have a problem with somebody or with you, you can't just let it go. It'll fester. It'll get worse. It won't get better. Agree with your adversary quickly while you're in the way with him, Jesus said. So I just learned, you just kind of stay after it. And then, of course, all through my life, my adult life, we've raised kids. And the most important thing I can tell you is to keep up with what's going on with your kids, keep up with what's going on with your spouse. Spend enough time together and have there be attendance there, awareness there, attentiveness there, action there, those kinds of things that keep you in a flow. If I spend enough time with my wife, I can tell if something's wrong, maybe in there in her thinking, or maybe she's feeling a little down, or maybe there's things that got her upset, or maybe there's things, she's dealing with that she's trying to work out, and she's just maybe not wanting to, whine about it or go on about it, but it's something there in her head. But when you're together, you pick up on those little subtle nuances. That's what old Solomon was talking about. I learned a long time ago, messing with horses and stuff, you don't have to be a veterinarian to know if a horse is sick. If you see him just about every day, you're gonna pick up on something not being right. And I was thinking about that while I was driving out here, and just to take a minute this summer and think of some of them words I just used, right? Think of being attendant, okay? That your attendance is there. Let's talk about your family for a second, of being there. We can get so busy in this world that we neglect that time, and nothing is like time so that you notice every little thing. I was thinking about how kids will sprout up in the summertime. You don't see them for a few days, and all of a sudden, wham, a couple of weeks, you're like, wow, I recognize that change. Well, the time to recognize things is when it's little, especially when it could be problems. If you're raising teenagers, I can't tell you any better advice than make sure y'all are doing life together. And not only you're attendant, but you're very aware. You're engaged with what's going on with them. I see a lot of people nowadays be 4 or 5 people, family, sitting at a restaurant, every one of them on a cell phone. You're in attendance, but you're not being attentive. There's no awareness there. And so there's not that connection, right? And so you need not only that attendance, you need to be together, but you also need to be aware. And when you're aware and attentive with somebody, it helps you personally, because narcissistic people don't notice what's going on in other people's lives. People that are only consumed with themselves never notice the subtle differences. It's one of the things that gets you guys in a bad spot with your wives. Your wives are showing you signs. You're just either too full-headed or you're too full of yourself to notice what's going on. Remember, brother, when a woman says everything's all right, she don't mean everything's all right, and you need to be aware of it. One of the things, though, is I've noticed that, you ever notice that guy, think of that real pushy person that talks all the time, everything's about them. They miss every subtle cue that somebody's trying to get out of the conversation. They miss every time they go, well, we got to be going. They notice every time somebody folds their arms and starts backing up. They just keep crowding in. Why? They don't notice it. They don't notice because they don't care. And we live in a very selfish age, so be sure and watch yourself. Don't get folded into it. And aware, and of course, taking action. Not just knowing a thing. You look at like King David in his life. There's a lot of things he knew about what was going on with his kids, but sometimes you don't see him act. And you're like, well, maybe he didn't know what to do, or he wasn't aware, or, sometimes, to be honest, wrong action is better than no action a lot of times. No action in a fight will get you whipped. No action in a battle, get the battle lost. Sometimes it's just, get out there and make your own luck. Just engage. Sometimes, like with your kids, you might not know exactly what to do, but I'll guarantee you they'll respond to you engaging more than they will you just remaining passive. If you read there in Proverbs chapter 27, you keep reading it. It talks about, as soon as he talks about taking care of your flocks, he talks about getting the hay out of the field and that kind of stuff. And he says, because it's going to bring forth the tender grass, and then that's going to feed your flock. Your flock is going to pay for the investment in them, and it's going to provide. So stay with me, because he was going somewhere with that. He was talking about being attentive, and one of the ways he talked about being attentive was taking action, working, putting the work in. Because getting that old grass out of the way is what's going to bring that tender grass in. I was driving in here to look at that field I wanted to look at, and Lord help, it looks like we fertilized it and took all that, and we didn't even do that this year. Fertilizer's too high. But what we did do was we got in there, we got the hay out of the way. We got the winter grass all cut and baled up and put up and out of the way. We had gophers all out there, and they've been took care of, and there was stickers, sandburrs wanting to grow, and they've been poisoned, And so just what little attentiveness we've done has changed that, okay? And you say, Brother Todd, what in the world does that have to do with my family? If you're attentive and you're connected and you're taking action, that's what he was talking about, putting that work in, right? Then that work is going to be an investment, okay? That investment, he talks about it's going to be paid off. Greatest investment some of you are putting in is in your family, in your faith. You're working hard. You're working hard to bring that family up. You can work so hard all day long trying to take care of a family that you'll avoid them when you come in at night, and you're getting it flipped over wrong, right? View that time with your kids as investment. View that time with your spouse as investment. Don't just come in and veg out. Don't just come in and veg out. When you feel like working the least is a lot of times when you need to work the most. When you're the most tired is when you need to keep going. When you feel the most weak is when you need to commit to the pull, right? I working with these young guys used to be lifting weights and things like that, and these boys are wanting to get strong, swell up, and I'd say, look, the first 8 reps are just to get you to the point that it counts. The first 6 or 7, it's going to be these last 2 where you really put in that strain. When everything in your body and mind is saying quit, those are the ones that really bring the best result. And so what I just want to encourage you about is take the things that you really love, that you hold dear, that are important to you, and make sure your presence is there, right? You're there physically. Secondly, you're there mentally, right? You're connected in, and you're willing to do something. Willing to work. You work on your faith will grow. Work on your family's going to be blessed. You work on your business, God's going to bless that effort. It's just a reality. It's just a reality. Be in attendance, be attendant, and take action. Put some work in. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you. Yeah, it's in the heat of the day and in the heat of life and in the difficulties of the moment is when you want to quit the most, when you want to sit back and take your ease, but it may be the very, very wrong time, okay? You got life, you got now, take it, embrace it, and use it, all right? Hey, hope you have a great, great weekend, be at church somewhere, online with us, or wherever it is you go, or be at Victory, and I guess I say it's way in the July the 4th week's coming up next week for those of us here in the States. So be mindful of your freedom and use it and be responsible in your life. And you're going to see God bless the investment, the awareness, and the selflessness that you put into it. You have a great day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.